Hello everybody and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry, episode 15, I think? I was just looking at it. Last episode, Battler started to play detective and figure out how who committed the murders. Uh, but before we get back into that, I got 3 comments over the last week. 2 of them were from the same person, but I just want to say thank you so much to you guys, and especially the person who also subscribed. I'm really glad people are enjoying this series as much as I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad people are watching my first true dive into the world of Umineko. Okay, let's get into this. Huh. After thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who'd just dance to that tune? If you're told, please be scared, you can't just say, really? Sure thing. When someone tells the great Ushirimiya Battler, the entrance is right here, I'm the kind of guy who'll start wanting to sneak in through the window. I think I read that one at the end of the last episode, but it's okay. Oh, the next thing that had me concerned was that so-called magic circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown that her knowledge of the occult rivaled grandfathers, had recognized, that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have been worth all of that effort? Oh, I muted it. Pressed the wrong button. If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely all of us would naturally suspect Grandfather. Did they want to make us think Grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between a genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had even been written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. Maria. Oh, Maria. A message is a form of communication. Really? I had no clue. That is something I've never heard in my life. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction? For some reason, we couldn't find Grandfather now. I don't know how Grandfather might have spotted the magic circle on the shutter. But did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No, it was a trap to make us suspect that Grandfather had participated. You could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting on this occult show? Somehow, that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who'd asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. You know what? Battler's so me. I love calling people freaks. Like, not like, except I don't actually mean it like in a mean way. I say it as a joke. So maybe he's not me, because I think he's being genuine about the freak thing. Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? Or will we pull off her fake skin first? Fake skin is a crazy way to describe it, but okay. There's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought. Some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she'd never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. There isn't a 19th person. The culprit must be in this room. Mm-hmm. Who do we think it is, guys? Implying that the witch isn't real, of course. Battler, are you suspecting yourself? Right now, Aunt Nazi is searching the mansion with the servants, right? Then we shouldn't say in this room. In this mansion is where the culprit has to be. After all, it's possible Aunt Nazi was behind this, and we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Still, Aunt Nazi and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Nazi and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Nazi in shock. Why? The talk I'd had with Aunt Ava started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all of those 6 at once. Oh! She's just got a sawed-off shotgun. Okay. You know what? I would trust her to take care of me. Forgive me if I've startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst. After all, that thing in Nazi's hand was a rifle. Oh, it's a rifle. My bad. At a glance, its silhouette looked like a lot like a hunting gun. But it was unusually short and looked kind of like a kid-sized weapon. It's sawed off. Better... more strength, if I'm correct. Because it has a shorter distance to travel from the barrel, so it's more powerful. However, it had a weightiness to it that made it clear it was no kid's toy. That gun is Kinzo-san's, isn't it? Did you know about it? That's right. I remembered it. It was in Father's old collection, and I managed to find it. Whoa! Awesome! Nazi-san, is that thing real? Yes, it's real. She's so tired of him. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, Father used it to scare away wild birds. Ah, that takes me back. Where did you find that thing? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it. Oh, Grandfather had one of these? I didn't know that. Long ago, Grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films. I love westerns. I have an entire shelf full of western books and movies and TV shows. I think my collection at this point is I want to say over 50, quite possibly even over 60. I haven't counted recently, but I love westerns and I love talking to people about my favorite westerns. Favorite movies has to be, I like a good deal of Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns. I love Once Upon a Time in the West. I love both of the Young Guns movies. I love Tombstone, but that's kind of a given, I think. What else do I like? I like 310 to Yuma, the remake one. That's for shows. TV shows, I love Laramie and the Magnificent Seven 1998 TV series. Oh my gosh, another movie I really love is Dead Man. Oh, such a good... I love acid westerns. I love The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. That actually has Bruce Campbell in it, and I love the Evil Dead movies as well. Books, I haven't finished as many as I'd like to, but I do really like Lonesome Dove. I have that whole series. I really enjoy all the different versions of Shane. I have the book, I have the original movie, and I have the TV show with David Carradine. I love the David Carradine version. Anyways, I should probably get back to this. Anyways, I'm a big Western fan, so just felt the need to share that. That generation really liked this kind of rifle. That a Winchester? But I've never seen one that short before. Ah, I remember, it's that gun. That really takes me back. That's the one Steve McQueen fired off in Wanted Dead or Alive. Oh, Wanted Alive or Dead, sorry. Steve McQueen. I have, I think I have 3 seasons of Wanted Dead or Alive. Wanted Alive or Dead. Crazy. Father sure has good taste. Yeah, that one's pretty good. Not my favorite, but I do really like Steve McQueen and, well, he was in The Magnificent Seven, but he was also in... No, wait, that was the one I was thinking of. That and Wanted Dead or Alive. It is an item that the Master ordered specially from America long ago. As you can see, it is a working gun, so please don't tell anyone about this. He was quite fond of it right after he managed to acquire it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridges were more interesting to him than shooting it, and he played around with it back in the forest all the time. Ho 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 ho. Still, it's rather disturbing. Are you sure you should be dragging this out? This is to prepare for the worst. There was probably more than one offender involved. Furthermore, these horrible people killed 6 of us, including my husband. I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow in my husband's place. Really, there's no fault with that reasoning, Ava, so let's not keep bullying Nazi. As Nazi-san said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find Grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since Grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was. I carefully checked all of the doors and windows throughout the mansion. However, we must be prepared for anything. Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here. Oh, good point. If everyone's gathered here, then we can all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other. I feel like she's being sarcastic. What do you mean by that, Ava-san? Yeah, she was. Okay. Nothing, really. I'm just agreeing with your opinion, aren't I? There was a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Ava was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Nazi was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of Grandfather's complicated pranks and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there is more than enough reason to suspect even Grandfather. Also, Aunt Nazi thought the criminal was on the outside, but Aunt Ava thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not a 19th person exists. That same question has been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner with the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. So the culprit was among us? Or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist? Or not? If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can't exist, you're basically saying that one of these relatives here, who share a common bloodline, is the culprit. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. A witch? A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices? If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all of the people in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. It kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence. Oh, time passing, time passing. It is now, what, 10? Oh, we're going to 1. Okay, quite the time skip, but that was 4 hours? 3, 4 hours? Kitchen. Are there buckets under? Lunch ended, and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first, it seemed as though Nazi planned to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the 3 servants to go together. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing most of us from eating that much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence. I will wash the dishes so you can rest a while, Canon-kun. Genji-san. Do you want something to drink? I don't need anything. Canon? I don't need anything either. You two must have been so busy and so early in the morning. It's no wonder you're worn out. The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Canon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. That didn't mean they could let it show in front of their relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Canon opened his mouth and muttered, Shannon, why did she have to die in such a horrible way? Forget about the manner of her death. It was nothing more than bad luck. This song, I don't know why, it reminded me of Twin Peaks. Oh, yeah, Falling, that song, Julie Crusade. It's a very Twin Peaks song. It's kind of Twin Peaks reminiscent of that, and I started reading And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, and I was talking with someone about it and how it's a little reminiscent of Umineko, and he was like, yeah, Umineko is probably partially based on it. I was like, oh, well, then that would make sense, wouldn't it? But, I mean, 10 people invited to an island by a mysterious benefactor. Well, not necessarily benefactor, mysterious person, and they all have crimes, but this one is more fantastical, and there's 18 people on the island. I guess the island and the murder is really the only similar thing, but the the epitaph, it reminds me of the rhyme, 10 little soldier boys was something about going to dinner, and then there were 9. Yeah. So, yeah, I can definitely see the resemblance. It's nothing more than bad luck. You're right. It was nothing more than bad luck. Sorry, excuse me for a moment. My bad, guys. They both fell silent once again. Cannon's expression was filled with grief. To think that Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Poor thing. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. I just wanted to see her smiling face one more time. Oh, that was Kumasawa. Whoops. I guess that would be the one benefit to the more traditional visual novel style of, uh, Umineko, is knowing who's saying stuff. Because, you know, there's always the name thing. But I really like the novel style. Just like, I enjoyed it in, Zero Escape. Because, you know, you had the novel style and then the adventure mode. And also the novel one was really good. Or at least the 999. For the, you know, thing at the end. I don't want to spoil it. But something about the text being laid out like this is very appealing to me. And as the one comment said, that it's nice, like, experiencing it in its original format, I think is best for a first-time read, just because you can see what the initial vision was before, you know, the different patches and, you know, the PS3 version and all of that. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Cannon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further. Why did Beatrice Sama do that to Shannon? If she wanted a sacrifice, there were plenty of others to choose from. Why? Why? I think Natsuhi would have been chosen instead of her had, one, Natsuhi not gotten the charm, and two, Shannon hadn't returned to the mansion. I think that's what the thing is. It was nothing more than bad luck. If we were less lucky, you or I might have been lying out there instead of Shannon. Or it could have been someone else entirely. Everything is left to fate. Genji-sama, you said the door to Madame's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right? The same substance that was painted on the shutter. Indeed. It was an unsettling mark, almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull out the doorknob. No, scratch through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark. So does this mean Beatrice Sama came to visit Madame's room and tried to open the door, but couldn't? Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room. With the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob and the marks of something scratching against the door. Wow, I just had something scratching against my door as I said that. It was my dog, who wanted in here for about 2 seconds before he wandered off. It had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door, but couldn't. How did the madam avoid being chosen as a sacrifice? If only she'd been chosen, Shannon wouldn't have had to die. That's what I was thinking. Just then a loud, sharp noise came in from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised. Oh. Battler? Why are we being nosy, Battler? That's a pretty interesting chat you're having there. Let me join in too. Before any of the servants realized it, Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen. Battler-sama, how rude of us. Genji-san and Kanekun stood up, surprised and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion. I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they let me go. I thought I'd suffocate if I was locked up in that room any longer. was about to come ask you guys for some water, but then I overheard something pretty interesting. You don't need to bow your heads or anything. I'm just a guy. Please, let me hear the rest. That just now wasn't really... I've been listening to you for a while. Okay, my dog's back outside my door. I'm gonna let him in because he's a needy little guy. Okay, sorry about that. He just needed in. I've been listening to you for a while. Don't try to hide it now. So I'll ask directly. Who is this Beatrice? She's supposed to be a witch from a kid's story, but it doesn't look that way now. I mean, she's like killing people and stuff. I mean, that's like not very child-friendly, you know? Canon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask him more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Battler, why? Last night, this would have been none of my business. But after this morning, everything's changed. Now that Dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business. I have the right to listen to the suspicious story, don't I? I glared into Cannon's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Cannon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a little bit. Battler-san, please let go of him. Cannon-san isn't really hiding anything. I don't know if you guys can hear it, because my mic's really shitty, but someone decided to start mowing their grass. Then you won't have any problem talking about it, right? It's lonely being out of the loop, you know? When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he'd made up his mind to do something. Apparently he had no intention of hiding it. I can tell you about it. Cannon only hesitated because you might have taken it badly, Battler-sama. Hesitating, huh? Not very manly of you. Whatever it is you're talking about, it's even more unpleasant having it kept a secret. Tell me about it. It's not like we have anything better to do before tomorrow comes. Slightly spooky story might be the best way to avoid getting bored. Genji-san and Cannon looked at each other, then nodded as though they decided to talk. Understood. Please ask us anything. We will talk. Right. Then I'll ask. Who in the world is Beatrice? All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rokenjima. I've heard it's a story grandmother or someone invented to keep people out of the dangerous forest. Is that wrong? No, it isn't wrong. It's as you say. Beatrice is a witch who dwells in the forest of Rokenjima. Battler-sama, I don't expect you to believe this all of a sudden, but Beatrice-sama exists. She is a real person, the one who gave the master a vast amount of gold and who worked by his side for many years. Uh-huh? Oh, come on. Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says? I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji-san nor Cannon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa Bachan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered as she started washing the dishes. So unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully. Bitterly. I see. That's why Genji-san refused to mention it. If you really mean it, of course, I'll take it badly. So you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists? Yes. Yes, she's been working for the Master since before the mansion was built on this island. She has most likely been working for him and even longer than I have. Crazy. And Genji's been working with him since he was like 16, right? If I'm remembering the lore correctly. What do you know? Kiri-san theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice. Is that person on the island now? Yes. Appropriate thunder sound. I believe that she is here. That's a vague way to say it. Kind of ominous, too. I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday. That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but, Kanekun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. Come on, don't just stop there. That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right? I urged him on, jokingly, again. However, it looked like Kana was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then, Kumasawa Bachan whispered, "Oh, you cannot see her face, because Beatrice-sama has no form. She has no... What did you say? Beatrice-sama has no body, per se. Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form. I have heard that the portrait shows what Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form. It seems he yearned for that figure so much he would often stand in front of that portrait. Ho ho ho. Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in the mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them. It is whispered that you will meet with disaster if you do. In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury." Wait a sec, are you kidding me? Are you all serious about this? Battler-sama, Beatrice-sama has already arrived. Such language may be unwise. Yeah, Battler. She's gonna murk you, bro. You're getting murked by Beatrice tonight. Beatrice-sama does not like it when she is profaned. If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet with disaster. Battler-san, you probably find this topic unpleasant. But you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist. Which is in quotes, mind you. So what exactly do we mean by exist? She exists, once again in quotes. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that. Can't you tell, Battler-sama? Beatrice-sama has already arrived here. Come on, quit it. I'm weak against that stuff. Enough with the cheap threats. However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast. Battler-san, I beg that you stop profaning Beatrice-sama. Please, trust me. Kumasawa Bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face. Well, even if you say she exists, I don't see anything. Are you trying to say that she's standing right next to me or something? 'Cause that's like mad creepy. Quit joking around. Oh, Maria? Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. Maria, hey! When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants. Whether your wavelength matches or not is determined as birth. Fatler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. That's why you can't see her. That's why you can't meet with her. And that's why you can't talk to her. You're the type that Beatrice hates the most? Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand. Do you want to know about Beatrice? Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all of the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold. Grandfather built up all the vast wealth of the Ushirmiya family by making a contract with her. Yesterday, I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I? That was real. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense. What are you talking about? Now I have to let my dog out because he really wants out of the room. Give me a second. Witches, demons. Who told you about that? I heard it from Beatrice herself. Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. She heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice, as though this was nothing more or less than the truth. Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time, okay? Who gave you that letter yesterday? I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand? You don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you? Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped. Battler, you still don't understand? Beatrice-sama exists. She exists, you say, but where? Like I said, Beatrice-sama exists here. That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now that the servants' eyes haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanekun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me was looking at a spot right behind me. Oh my fucking god. She's right behind me, isn't she? No, but genuinely, that's actually kind of haunting, ignoring the fact that I just made a joke about it. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if there was something there. Beatrice is the mighty golden witch who has lived for 1,000 years. since she can't show her form to humans of the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? That's really sad. It means she truly despises it when people like you, who are born without a fragment of the ability needed to sense magic, deny that she exists. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatrice would have put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler. Oh, that scorpion keychain. I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but are you saying it really had some power? If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in the storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now. You're so lucky, Battler. I see. So if it weren't for that, I'd have been killed by now. That's really great. Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? Even though she exists. Right now. Over there. Look. Hey, I'll bet you want to believe it now. Believe it. Thank me for giving you that charm. If it weren't for that, you'd be in that storehouse right now. But then, maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right? Whatever. Right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over. Oh my god. You think I'm listening to you? You're 9 years old. Then it's all useless, isn't it, Maria? That's true, then I'm sorry, but it's all useless. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her. I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but... Well, I thought I put that charm you gave me in my pocket. But I must have dropped it somewhere. So the charm can't be the reason I'm alive now, and even though I should have been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine. So take that. Sorry, but I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes. Take that. Oh my god. Take that. 6th senses, wavelengths, magic sensitivity. Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off. I don't know how much grandfather is paying you, but if you're trying to talk me into joining some cult, believe me, you won't be able to do it that easily. Battler-sama. You guys are free to believe whatever you want. However, when it comes to things I believe, the one who decides is always me. Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen her with my own eyes. I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then Maria started cackling again. Well, that's just fine, isn't it? Eventually, even people like you with totally mismatched wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice. Very soon, she will revive. Beatrice will revive. Once that happens, she's promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. There will be absolutely no need for you to doubt or for us to force you to believe. She will appear very soon. Well, that's that's something, I'd say. After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom, while others prefer to relax for a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. In the end, Aunt Natty reluctantly retracted her order that everyone remain packed into the parlor. The condition that no one headed out on their own or strayed too far. In any case, if 11 people are shut up in the same room starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, there was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion. So no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared of standing there, isolated, and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do like not doing what they're told. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor, just as Aunt Nancy had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently waiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, "What in the world happened back there?" I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing behind me, invisible. However, it felt like I'd glimpsed a little of that presence inside Maria. You're right. When Maria starts talking about witches, her personality changes. Batlook, you also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right? You mean that scorpion keychain? No, I don't mean like when her feelings were hurt. I'm talking about her having a dual personality or something. Yeah, that happens sometimes too. That thing Maria did when she was talking about the magic circle does happen every now and then. It's freaky though. Apparently Jessica had spotted that kee Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment and was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time. So what is that? Does Maria have a dual personality or something? Or are you saying that her spiritual sense really is that strong and she's being possessed by a spirit or whatever? No, I don't think it's that. Haven't you ever experienced it? When you were small, didn't you ever want to be someone other than yourself? When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. they want to be different than other people. But since everyone in their class is learning the same things at the same rate, being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they do is to start breaking the rules in what's called their rebellious stage. Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves if you look at it this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George and Iki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard. Well, that was when I was at the age where you try to show off for the opposite sex. The main feature of the growing period lies in the impulse to break away from your life as a kid, like a chick trying to crack open the shell of their egg. Do you know what makes children and adults different? Age? Or do you mean size? No, it's experience. Adults can look down on children because children have very little life experience. The reason they snort at everything children say is because they think kids know nothing about the real world. Yeah, I understand that. When you're a kid, you talk like you got life all figured out somehow, trying to act like an adult. No matter what kids say, adults just snort at them and say they're too naive or that they'll understand when they get older or something. Well, it's probably true, but to a kid, it's just annoying, like they're being looked down upon. I get it. It's a question of knowledge and experience. Well, I guess you're right that there's no reason to respect a person for their age if they've just wasted their lives. Therefore, during the period when they try to separate themselves from other children, they also try to take on personality traits different from those around them. And if knowledge and experience is what separates kids and adults, I get it. If they know something no one else knows, it becomes part of their identity. You know, when I was in elementary school, I learned things no one else knew. Get things no one else had, wear things no one else wore, and became a bit of a hero for it. I bet you've done the same thing, Battler. Yeah. There was definitely an age when I wanted to excel in some skill or other. I see, so that's because I was trying to separate myself from being a child, or going through my growing period, in other words. If you put a positive spin on it, the growing period forces you to separate yourself from others, thereby pushing you to gain skills and knowledge no one else has. That is also interesting from a sociological standpoint. Besides, people hate being like everyone else. They try to learn skills other people don't know. In this way, society can acquire the broad range of skills it needs to survive. The quality of the gods' programming is truly surprising. Well, unique personality traits can also be negative, right? Like if say everyone in the class was studying hard, but I was the only one slacking off, trying to stand out. Okay, that last bit really was true about me. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school. Whoa, what? Hey, wait, whoa, or what? But, well, I'd try to jump over things no one else could. Sprinting as fast as I could, trying to lap those guys with good grades when we did a marathon. I just felt like doing it. It was in my nature that if I couldn't study well, then at least I could get back into my exercising. So I see, so I really did go through a proper growing period. I guess boys really do tend to focus more on physical stuff. But you know, girls the same age tend to focus more on mental, spiritual things. I'll bet there were groups of girls in your classes that got really interested in fortune telling and their spiritual senses. Yeah, there were. They'd come over asking me for my sign and my blood type, and then they'd laugh. I thought so. Really got on my nerves. No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling. Deciding whether your spirit sense is strong or weak, what your sensitivity is, whether you can see the unseeable. That kind of thing definitely happened to me. That's because fortune telling and spiritual senses are things that aren't taught in school. The girls, who tend to be more introverted, it's a genre that's easy to build an identity upon and one that holds a lot of interest for them. Just like how when boys enter their growing period, they start acting tough and rebel against adults. When girls enter their growing period, they start getting interested in that kind of thing. Well, I didn't, though. So, Maria having so much interest in the occult isn't that rare among girls her age? Even if we accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Actually, I think I could probably accept that explanation. More or less. And I think we're gonna have to accept that this is the end of the episode. Crazy. I did. Not quite sure exactly what to say to surmise my thoughts of this matter, of this episode, but it's getting good. I fear for, because what, it's probably closer to 2 p.m. at this point. The second Twilight's probably coming soon, and well, that means 2 more people are dying, and that's no good. But I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys again next time. Bye!